And we are recording on Tuesday, November 25th, 2025 at 11:59 a.m. Eastern Time with Mr. Mike Hobart. So, and our the accumulation of our relationship is I think we messaged on Twitter last week, and then now we just talked about 4 minutes. So, if everybody, you know Mike as probably as well as I do, if not more. I don't know, I'll put your Twitter in the description. Um, but we were just kind of talking beforehand. It's all the shit I always say. It's just like the endlessly refilling cup of just the left versus the right. I don't even mean in like it's all they're all pawns. Like, because even that's hack. It's like, yeah, we all know they're all pawns, but the reason why oh yeah, I'm conservative. I voted for Trump, but like the reason I don't talk about this stuff every day is if you can look at a thumbnail on Rumble of a conservative show or the inverse, go find a liberal show on YouTube or whatever. If you can look at that thumbnail and replace the names, just replace names, then it's not worth watching because you can take a thumbnail from today, replace Trump with Bush, replace AOC with fucking whoever, Chuck Schumer or John McCain or Obama
Anybody
or
from any prior campaign.
switch
Yeah.
Iraq with Ukraine, switch Vietnam with Korea, and it's just switched. It's just retarded. It's genuinely retarded.
Yeah.
And I I used to kind of have like a little respect for the people that did it because I was like, I respect that grift. You're making money on that. But I've gone on some of the shows. It is a grift, but they don't. I always thought it was cool. Like they knew it was dog shit. I always imagined if you talk to them, they'd be like, "Yeah, man, this shit's fucking retarded." But it's just paying.
But it works.
It's paying for my new condo. I'd be like, "All right, there are worse ways to be dishonest." But they believe it. And maybe they're very smart and they don't even show me that because they're like, we can't let this fucking thing get out. This guy will out us. And I wouldn't. If they told me this shit's all, if they told me, hey, dude, I'm actually like a Democrat staffer, but I just make a ton of money doing this, I'd be like, that's so fucking hardcore. Like, I respect that. But they don't. Those people are like,
No.
it's just out of this world. Can you believe? And I'm like, it's just so
Tiring.
boring. But and then even the thing I'm doing right now, where I talk about how boring and tiring it is, that's hack. This whole thing I'm doing right now, like we're getting fourth wall. This isn't even original. Somebody coming out and saying it's all tiring is so. I mean, at a certain point, that's kind of like why the show is what it is. Where it's just when people ask what is it, I go, I try to find like a common thread of electricity and just run that. I don't care
Yeah.
what it's about. So
Well,
yeah, introduce yourself
the
for everybody that doesn't know you.
you already got my name, Mike Hobart. A veteran. I served in the Army National Guard as an aircraft hydraulic specialist for 6 years, deployed to Kuwait for a year. Went to college for exercise science, got into writing during the pandemic because, like everybody else, we were all locked down, and then kind of just ran from there just because I started writing about all the ridiculousness, which is the common thread to what we were already talking about. And then it just kind of carried from there. But um, I want to get into kind of like some of the stuff that really inspired me to hit you up. And then what also prior to that inspired me to just like be listening to your show. Uh, there's there's a particular dynamic with fifth generation warfare, which has been a common thread for your conversations with like Ian Burlingame and Tom Luongo, Dave Collum, and the others that I don't see regularly talked about that I think is probably the most maybe one of the most important aspects because it's not a very important aspect is the are the hidden forces, which is what particularly Ian Burlingame is very good about, right? Like he talks about the Praetorians or like Susan starts with a K, I can't remember her name, that writes about like, British influence on the big moves that are behind the scenes. Because that's one side of the yin yang circle, right? But the other side is the environment or the battle space with which they're executing in, right? And I wrote an article about fifth generation warfare about this exact topic on my Substack, talking about how the use of economics by forcing like the average American family to have to take on two jobs rather than one, right? When during in 1971 when they broke the dollar away from the gold standard, how doing that started the precipitous decline and destruction of the nuclear family, which then took away time from adults to be able to not only raise well-functioning members of society, but it also took away their time from being able to pay attention to all these dynamics that are playing out in their world,
Mm,
right? So like when you're busy working, when you both parents are busy working two jobs, or like now the average is actually 2.3 jobs per two adult households. So there's 30% of people are working at like more than one job per adult. You get to the point of where these individuals don't have enough time to not only raise effective members of society and teach their kids, the most important things like critical thinking and all these dynamics, but the individuals, the parents, they don't have enough time to actually continue to practice their own critical thinking and figure out their belief system and choose their path to God or away from God because I'm sure you've heard of all the rise of Satanist cults and everything lately. Um, and then how that plays out to the point of where because all these individuals don't have all this time, they are very easily manipulated. And then on top of that, the economics of destroying the currency through constantly printing money because Congress can't stop spending money like a freaking college kid hopped up on meth or something. Um, to the point where you have to work harder and harder for less valuable currency, and then everything else is going up in cost. So the spiral is less and less and less time to figure out and understand your own world so that they rely more on these media pushes, like these headlines that are coming out and saying, oh, Trump's trying to make himself king. Trump's trying to make himself a dictator. They're doing all this ridiculous stuff, all the propaganda around the Ukraine-Russian war. No, because nobody has the time to figure anything out. They're just stuck with running with the headlines and what the Mockingbird media is pushing out. So they just lap it up like again, like drug addicted kids, like they're trying to wrap it up as some sort of cure for addiction, but in reality, the drug is more dangerous than the cure is more dangerous than the drug itself, and it just makes a populace that's literal like the meme with the mass psychosis of sheep getting led off a cliff. Like that's so accurate. It's actually extremely terrifying, right? And then you get to this dynamic of with fifth generation warfare and the Mockingbird media, which I think is now very well secured into the zeitgeist of the average individual is starting to like get exposure to that you get this environment of where the general populace is what I call a Schrodinger's soldier. Like they don't know that they are on the battle space. They don't know that fifth generation warfare isn't just what the media is pushing out. Like the fifth generation warfare is on social media, it's on their phones. Like the Facebook information around them running psychological experiments and campaigns through their app and on their phones to the point of figuring out how they can manipulate their user base to get them to stay on the screen more often. You like the even you and I are very much victims of fifth generation warfare, even though we think we know what's going on. We like there's no way of knowing everything, right? So then it comes down to discernment, and the average individual doesn't have the discernment because of the lack of time, like I talked about before, because they don't have enough time to figure out their own reality. So I don't know. We can go anywhere from that. Like I think the economics and the destruction of currency is a major, major linchpin in this whole conversation, and nobody wants to talk about it because it's not military assets. Um, it's not AOC wearing a dress that says tax the rich or whatever. But it's an important dynamic because like the conversation between Tom Luongo and I think Alex Kranger was the one that brought it up. There was an article that I shared on Twitter that Tom saw that was written by Alistair McLeod back in 2023, where he through his numbers in that article, he believes that there's $10 trillion in the Eurodollar system. just circulating that's obviously outside of US jurisdiction. And then I can't remember the exact numbers, but it was a multiple of that in off books debt, which also, counts as dollars because you go and take a loan out, they give you money, that's dollar creation. Um, how much of that is has been flooding its way back into the US aside from our own loan creation system within the United States? How
Hmm.
much is that destroying the American ecosystem and the American culture? Like how much of that has been feeding into the illegal immigration that's creating chaos within our borders, you know? Like it's a really, really pervasive system. And I hope that we can, you know, get more people to understand what's going on a little bit more. So like because like we're in an environment here in the United States where it is it's a tinder box that's had a powder keg dumped on top of it and then doused in gasoline, you know. And it's I hope we can get more people aware so that they don't panic and do something stupid, which can kick off the conflagration, you know.
In terms of the media and blah 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 and critical thinking, I kind of have I wouldn't say I don't think it's pessimistic because it's how I've always lived. One, I don't think there's anything new under the sun. I think
Yeah.
we've always
Well, I
adapted.
mean, it's Babylonian money magic.
Yeah,
They've been doing it for thousands of years, which is also a important part of Satanism, believe it or not.
yeah. And then in terms of critical thinking and adaptability, I think the people that are willing and able to adapt are going to adapt, and the people that are not willing and or not able will not. And I know that's like a pretty broad statement, but I just tend to think that, it's it's like the meme of like, listen, if you spilled the hot coffee on yourself, like the label that said coffee is hot, that wasn't going to save you, and it's amazing you got this far, kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's like the kids are eating Tide Pods. It's like, hey man, those kids were gonna die crossing the
Darwinism's
street.
a bitch.
It's what it, and I'm not trying to be heartless. And then it's like, and then the people that thrive, or at least adapt, I think they always will. And it's yeah, I guess I look at like how retarded I was as a teenager, and then you know, and then like how stupid I was my freshman year of college, and then with no external force, nobody forcing me to. It just dawned on me when I was 20. I was like, oh, college is going to end one day. What do I want to do? That's when I decided I want to be a doctor. And nobody made me. Nobody put a gun on my head. I just stopped drinking, stopped smoking pot, and just started studying. I was a C student my whole life. Just started studying 7 days a week, nonstop, for 3 straight years. Transferred to a better school, aced the MCAT, and got into med school. As like
Yeah,
a
I heard your story about the MCAT.
so,
That's a pretty good story.
but my point is like I look at that, and so now if I look at like younger people, I'm 35 now. I'm less likely to be like, oh, these kids are fucked. And I look at it now and I'm like, no, a certain number of them are going to hit the sink or swim and they're just going to do well. And it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if they are in Valdosta, Georgia in August 2010 and have the realization they need to start studying, or if it's fucking France in 1650. I think that people, and again, this is an extremely broad statement, but I think those that one at least have the intellect or the awareness to see it, and or you don't even have to be a, I was probably the dumbest person I knew that got into med school. But what I did was I was just like, I know I can work harder than anybody. And there were some really smart people that just also didn't have a work ethic and they
Yeah.
didn't get in. I think that it's and it doesn't mean that there aren't forces trying to fuck you. Of course they are. They don't, that's very apparent. But I think that those who are going to adapt will adapt. And it's just we're in this weird thing of phones and social media and propaganda and bots. But it's also like what the podcast I've created was just like Yeah, I just got like a microphone, just started uploading on YouTube one day, and like look what it's turned into. Like there was
Yeah.
no $1 trillion grant. I don't have an IQ of 290. Like, you know, and so what I and then it's like when the people that are listening, it's like, you know, how did I get it to them? Like, yeah, they just kind of found it. And then you have on a ton of people like you who are just like, no, like your thing's talking about this and other people are not. And tons of people say that. So I guess I look at things as like the retarded people are going to be retarded. It's
Yeah.
what it doesn't make them bad. It's just they're going to be retarded, and the people that are going to conquer are just going to conquer. If Musk and Bezos were alive in the 1800s, we wouldn't know Carnegie and Rockefeller. We'd know Musk and Bezos. And if Carnegie and Rockefeller and Vanderbilt were right now, they wouldn't be building steel railroads. They'd be shooting rockets. And it's just, and in 100 years, there'll be names that about whatever fucking quantum teleportation. And I guess so. I don't really despair about it. I think
No.
that the people that are going to adapt and overcome will and always have. And well, it's less people now. I imagine the percentage has probably always been pretty much the same. And then really, discernment and all of that. And I think that's kind of like the X factor. That's like the cheat code is I do truly believe God exists. And you can say, hey, God, like I don't have a 300 IQ, but like, you know, can you try to show me the way? And I do think God will. And so I guess that's why I don't have a black pilled or pessimistic view at this. I don't think the pattern we're seeing now. I mean, it seems alien. If you compared this to 5000 BC, fucking Fertile Crescent, you'd be like, those aren't the same. I think they are though. If you were to just look at like broad patterns, if I showed you the coast of the Bahamas versus the coast of Portland, Maine, like those aren't the same. One of them's like a shitty winter hellscape where people like me
It's
thrive.
still
I'm
a coast.
Irish, but I'm Irish, and you can look at the Bahamas, and be like crystal aqua blue water, fucking, But if you were to just no, like no, break it down, like remove human emotion and calling one good or one bad, and warm and cold, you'd be like, yeah, no, it's a form of liquid that is interacting with a solid, and it's just naturally waving on it, and I'd be like.
Similar environment, different populations,
So that's my
different, yeah.
point is like I don't think I think from like God's view, the drama that's unfolding now is indistinguishable from like ancient Rome or
Yeah.
whatever. And that's what so and it could just be like Tommy, you're delusionally optimistic. If that's the case, okay. Hey, hey, you know how you broke your femur in that car crash? Yeah, and then the EMTs came and yeah, then they hit me with morphine. Thank God. You know that was actually sugar. They just told you it was morphine.
Yeah, it doesn't
Don't you
matter.
kind of feel stupid? Well, no, that was a couple years ago. I remember the pain went away. Yeah, but you feel it wasn't actually morphine. It was sugar.
Yeah, it doesn't
The
matter
pain went
at
away.
that point.
I don't. Tommy, you're delusionally optimistic. The world is much darker. Well, congrats. Enjoy your self-created hellscape and the rain cloud that you are manifesting over your head every day. I'm rooted in God and I'm going to not, put my faith in the flesh and the physical. So I don't care if what I'm saying is delusional. I don't care. I'm at peace.
We could take this in a lot of different ways. I actually have a question for you now. With the whole God and faith topic and fighting against evil. There's a couple things I want to say, but are you a regular watcher of Sean Ryan?
No, but I'm aware of him. I don't, full
Okay.
disclosure, not only do I not watch podcast, I like, I don't mean this in like some edgy way. I just mean in that like it doesn't enter. I've almost
Yeah.
watched. I've never seen Star Wars. Like I've never seen. Like I've
Oh,
never.
dude, I've got some thoughts on Star Wars,
No,
but you
but my,
don't
my,
need to
my point
watch
is
it.
just in general. And I know some people are like, I don't watch mainstream. No, I just never have since a kid. I'm just other things interest me. So
Yeah.
not only do I not watch like I read Harry Potter at like age 28. Like I don't, and I was just like, ah, that's like so no, like I know of him,
Okay.
but no, I don't.
Okay.
Yeah,
So the reason I bring it up is that Sean Ryan has been getting into the last like 2 years, he's been getting into deeper and darker topics, like along the lines of like what you've been talking about for what I've been watching it for the last like I think I found you like 6 months ago, maybe. Um,
What have I been talking about?
well, particularly like around like the child trafficking,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Satanism,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
like the really dark stuff.
The bed of coals at the bottom of the fire of hell. Yeah.
Yeah, like the hottest part.
Yeah.
And as I've been watching, as he's getting more and more consistent exposure and kind of like getting a deeper and deeper peek into the abyss, he's it looks like it's breaking him a little bit. And because he kind of touched on that what you were just talking about just a few minutes ago. And it's like, how can you be so like optimistic? The thing is that like when you zoom out and you look at the trajectory of history, right? Relating back to Rome or the Weimar Republic or the Dark Ages. Um, and you have a more broad spectrum understanding of, I already referred to yin and yang. Like you can't have light without dark, and you can't have dark without light. Like there's a reason why God and the devil and Satan are constantly at odds and pulling on each other, because you have to have that you need to have that balance established in between, because if you get one extreme or the other, it destroys the entire system and then it has to rebuild itself, right? I got around, believe it or not, I got around to getting deeper into faith and belief and deeper interest into Christianity and God through my understanding of complex adaptive systems. An ecosystem is a complex or a non-linear dynamic system is the more technical term. But it's right back to what I just said. You have to have a system that has multiple poles that provide
Hmm.
that you find homeostasis or stability in the middle. Within the battle space, you find that normal, right? And so like when I came around to understand that, I was like, okay, the entire universe is just systems within systems, from macroscopic all the way down to like quantum. And I'm like, okay, well, if that's the case, then that broad rule that dictates all of this operationally, that's God. Like
Hmm.
there's no other way that I can think about it. And then it gets to then that gave me the kind of like the solid foundation or the solid ground personally to be like, okay, I don't have as much of a fear response or a problem with all of this evil. What I have a problem with is that it exists and that it's like pervasive, right? So it's to the point of now I view all of these conversations, whether it's Sean Ryan or it's you talking with Dave Collum about the Satanist cults, where this is effectively target acquisition, right? Like because you have to shine the light on the cracks to find out that they're there to begin with, and then you can go about alleviating the cracks or rebuilding the dam or whatever you decide is the most important move to rectify the situation. Or you can be the idiot and decide it's like, oh no, we're just going to pretend like we didn't see it, and then you're going to deal with the consequences that come from that. But I don't. I think it's funny, like that story that you just gave of like, well, how can you be like you're such a blind optimist? It's like, all right, dude. Well, you can become a pessimist and just hate the world, and then you're not putting any good out into the world. Like, what are you doing, right?
It's
Like,
also self-torture.
yeah, yeah, it is, because like I mean, it destroys your soul. Like
Well, and if you're
it's
constantly doing that, then at a certain deep level, you have to ask yourself, is that really what you want? I find that
yeah.
all the time where I'm like, podcast isn't gonna fit, it's gonna fail, it's not gonna work. And at a certain point, I'm like, there's like being aware of the ebbs and flows and growth or lack thereof. And at a certain point, you have to ask yourself, you're like, do I feel like I deserve failure? Like, what is this? Is this some like, and that's hard because you go, no, it's being done to me. But on some weird level, you're like, why does my mind always go to that? And and in terms of being delusionally optimistic, I also you also have to like do the work. And so You can't just be optimistic. Maybe you can. Maybe that's like the final level. It's like, no, you can literally just be optimistic. I don't know. Maybe that's like enlightenment or something.
Well, there's
But
optimism and then there's finding the silver lining, right? There's a
yeah,
difference.
and so, it's like I'm optimistic about the podcast and I work hard on the podcast. I also work my ass off doing the shows, reading, networking, trying to stay topical, and trying to find avenues of growth. Don't sell your soul, but you do have to monetize, like all that stuff. It's like I work my absolute ass off, but I remain optimistic. But yeah, I don't think you're ever going to get rid of the evil. And I think that that's what provides growth. And that that push and pull is what push whatever this universe is of novelty or entropy unfolding. You do need that, and it's a hard thing to say you need it because it's so unbelievably evil. But it's also
That's a hard pill to swallow.
it is, but you also have to understand, well, why does God allow this to happen? Well, God gave you free will. Now, it's not just like people go, okay, well, no, it's like, no, no, no. That's not just like a statement. That is the statement. It's like, well, we're making this video game, but we're going to X, Y, and Z. It's like, no, no, no. The game should be fun above all else because you're sitting down at the end of the day. Like, I'm been sober 2 years. Like, the game is fun. I'm not as concerned with graphics and physics. Is the game fun? That's
Yeah.
that's not like a flippant thing. It's like, is the game fun? Is this show entertaining to watch? It's like at the very core, why the fuck would people watch me otherwise? So when because for a long time I was like, I just looked at like God giving us free will as just some weird like asterisk. But now I'm like, no, 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 that's everything. Because God can and probably spent a trillion raised to the trillion raised to the Googleplex years having perfect marionettes. And it was all peaceful and bliss and everything. And what God wants is the the truest thing. He wants truly free will. He wants to see what happens. And that love and that turning towards God is so much more infinitely, I would imagine, in the eyes of God, special because that's you are your own person. He's like, no, you actually have free will. You actually, it's like playing a video game where there's like no saves, and if you lose, like Escape from Tarkov, like if you lose your gear, like you lose your gear. Man, sometimes you can go, man, fuck this. But if you ever go back, you'll never play a game like that where your heart's pounding. Like me and my buddy Matt will play, and like it's like an okay shooter, but when you're there and it's not a normal game where you just select the weapon you want and I want this thermal and I want this with a grip. When you have to go and find all that shit and spend hundreds of hours like getting money and equipment, when you finally have like a silenced MP5, you go out and like your heart's pounding. You're like, oh fuck, let's go. Like I think that's what God wants is free will. And what that means is there can be unbelievable evil. And it also means that there can be unbelievable, inconceivable good. And when I look at like the fundraiser I went to this past weekend for everybody that watches the show knows Baz, you look at these guys who these aren't just like CIA ground branch like Delta Force, like these aren't like these guys could be getting sexy paychecks from billionaires to go just, guard the yacht. And they're doing this and they're rescuing kids for no other reason than to rescue the children. And when you look at that and you look at Baz is 69, he's almost 70, and he's just out there. He's hungrier for that than I am for the podcast. And you look at that and Baz never asked me to throw a fundraiser. Baz never asked anything. And you look at that and he's out there and he's even then, and it hasn't broken him. Like, you can see how deeply rooted in Christ he is, and you see it, and you're like, it is like your heart swells, and you're like, oh, angels are fucking real. It's not just like, okay, angels are real. No, you see angels, and they don't look like gay medieval paintings of cherubs. No, they're fucking tatted up motherfuckers with ponytails and M4s and a rosary around their wrist. And they're like, I will fucking murder someone to go get this child. An example Baz gave 4-year-olds chained to a concrete floor in a basement where they're raped 20 times a day and the light has left their eyes.
Yeah.
And you go and meet these guys, and then Baz is breaking down, and he's giving this speech, and he goes, and you meet them, and they look at you and they go, I knew God was going to send someone. And you go, how, how does this
How?
5-year-old? And then here's the thing, Baz goes, 99% of them, no one's coming. That you can't. And you look at that, and you're standing, and I'm there with all these like wealthy people, and I mean, dude, there's not a dry. Even now, I'm like, you're sitting there, and you're just like, it's unimaginable evil. But let me put it this way: I'm a total pussy when it comes to not getting enough sleep. I'll I can get into med school, I can do the podcast. If I don't get enough sleep, I'm cranky, I'm foggy, I can get anxious, I'll start to get depressed. Both nights traveling down there, all my flights were fucked up and I got almost no sleep. Dude, being there, it truly was God touching you, and you like you feel. And I even now I like I hate like that. I believe in, I've given my soul to Christ, and I. But even now, when you see like preachers, sometimes I'm like, will you shut the fuck up? Will you, like, the Lord's gonna touch you? I'm like, dude, will you fucking? I get it. I get. No, man, like you're there and you feel the static electric. You're like
Yeah.
that. That's the Lord,
Something coming through the
and it's
ether
so.
that,
So
yeah.
my point is like no like it there is, you need that. And so someone like Sean Ryan can start to break them. And I'll also, I know I'm rambling on, but I'll also find that like, and I have to watch myself now because I'm like so psyched after this thing. I'm like, I want to do like another one. After my brother committed suicide in 2014, I started a nonprofit to raise money for like mental health. I had no idea what the fuck I was doing, and a lot of it was some weird trauma response. I ended up raising like 10 grand and donated it and whatever.
Nice.
In hindsight, I'm like, it was probably fucking embezzled by some douchebag, but whatever. Like, but my point is I went so hard on that that I began to hate it because it's all I did. I didn't allow myself to have fun. I'm
Yeah.
like, I now have to raise $1 trillion for this, and I began to hate it. And it wasn't that it was like reminding me of my brother. No, that wasn't the issue. It's I began to hate it. So even now, when I come back here, I'm like, all I can think about is that fundraiser. And I'm like having to like tell myself, do the podcast, enjoy the podcast. I'm gonna fucking play video games after
Moderation.
this. I'm gonna enjoy it the long run. And so if for Sean Ryan, if it's breaking him, it should. And you need to, it is not selfish to moderate it. It's better for you to say Sean Ryan, it's better for you to do one interview about this stuff once a year for the next 50 years than it is for you to do 20 a year and burn out after one. And
Yeah.
so I don't know where the fuck I was going with any of that,
Well,
but
and then,
the
well,
point
and
is,
then he gets to the point of where he just doesn't want to talk about it at all, and then the message gets buried
the
in
message
in the
gets buried
signal.
and you don't want to touch it, and then you can no longer judge other people for wanting to approach it because you're like, yeah, man, I get it, you burn out. Versus keep it keep it sustainable.
Yeah.
You can't do that all the time.
So I want to get your opinion because I know what my opinions are, but I've come to the conclusion in the last couple of years that a lot of what is playing out between EM Burlingame's the Praetorians and what's going on with the British and the shoes over in Israel, um, and what's going on with like the influx of particularly Muslim individuals into Europe and the United States. Like we were kind of like trained or taught or told that the spiritual warfare stuff is just like Fugazi, right? Like
Yeah.
like Matthew McConaughey says in the Wall
It's a
Street.
gosh, it's a fugazi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Fugazi, is whatever.
Yeah.
Um, but it seems like it's like it might be one of the biggest, if not the biggest motivators for like what's
No,
driving things.
it's and I know that because through this podcast, I've had friends that I came back to God through this podcast, through meeting Charlie Duke, the astronaut I was telling you about. And I have
Okay.
friends who have literally gotten like baptized through and like wealthy, intelligent guys who are like not easily given to the emotional heartstring stuff. who have literally like come back to or come to God, and they've because at a certain point, and this is why I love it, is like some of those intelligent people, when you draw every conclusion, you draw everything, you get all, empire and power and pussy and all the driving forces of, the history of man. There are some things where it's like finding, it's like an accountant finding like money laundering. Like, yeah, hold on. There's no way this laundromat is making 1.5 billion a year, right? It's at a certain
Yeah.
point you go, something's happening in the back room. Some of the smartest people I've had on the show have been like, I have come to God purely through like Excel spreadsheets because I've gone, I get this, I get, wars for money and evil and all that. But the amount of why this is happening with the resources being pushed, oh, that's pure evil. It's
Yeah.
just evil for the sake of evil. Not evil in that, you fucking took $10 out of the tip jar. Legitimate, you can't wrap your head around it. They just want evil. And you go, oh, which implies the opposite too.
Yeah.
Pure selfless love. And I don't mean that in some like defeatist cuck way. I mean like, no, the righteous, loving justice of God. Um, no, that, and I'm with you. Like out here, like it's spiritual. I'm like, yeah, yeah, I bet there's some evil out there. And then as this goes on, you get to a point where you're like, I'm like weighing dark, right? Dark energy and dark matter. They know like the rate that, because you can predict where a planet is, even if you can't see it based on the tugging of other planets. There has to be
Yeah.
something of this much mass and this much radius at this distance, and you can whatever. And then with right, the way that the galaxy interacts and the matter we can see and calculate, they're like, no, 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 no. In order for this thing to stay the way it's going, we're missing like 90% of it, which means that even if we don't know what it is, we know that it exists and we don't know what it is. But something is there because it's, whatever, Newtonian or Keplonian, whatever the fuck, orbital mechanics. That's how a lot of people have come to, they've gone like, no, 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 no. I'm weighing it all out. Why does this water bottle weigh 6 pounds? Or why does it weigh 30 pounds? You eventually open it up, you go, it's full of mercury. That's the only way. At a certain point, it's full of fucking something. So many people I know, myself included, have gone, no, 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 no. There's pure evil. I don't know what it is. I don't, maybe you can explain it through a molecule. I don't know. But there's pure black-eyed satanic evil. Oh, which implies the opposite. So, you start going, yeah, I bet there's a spiritual component. And you finally come around, you go, oh, no, no, that's all the driving force. That's
Yeah.
all it is. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're not. I asked you the question and
Oh,
you
you
did
did
not
it.
disappoint.
I'm still so fucking tired from this trip. I'm like, you asked me, I'm like, Jesus Christ. All right.
Well, the funny thing is like when you were describing how sleep affects you, like I'm the exact opposite. I tend to be sharper when I get anywhere from 3 to 6 hours, and then I get over that, and then I'm groggy and I'm emotional,
Not
and I'm
not me.
just
I'm a little baby back bitch. I need 8.5. I need to rise naturally. I'm such like a hardcore workaholic in every aspect of my life except that. I'm just
hey,
I'm
dude,
fucking
everybody's got their thing.
I'm like the fucking like children's book drawing of like the teddy bear with like the nightgown and like the candle. Like that's me. Like I'm fucking like just but yeah, no, there is
So
there is
I
yeah.
have I have some thoughts on all this because my girlfriend and I, soon to be wife here, um we talk about this kind of stuff a lot. And I wanted to put this out there because I don't think I've ever put it out there with anybody, especially like I think your podcast is probably a good one, like a theory. So, and you're talking about like that's my son in the background if you can hear him.
No, Zoom actually does a great job.
Okay. Okay, cool.
I always think people can
Uh
hear the fire trucks going by my house and no one can. That's the one
oh,
shout out.
perfect.
That's the one shout
Perfect.
out to
Because
Zoom is the
space
fact
heater
that
was running and I was
yeah,
getting
no,
concerned that you
no, all good.
um but so I guess we're gonna make this whole podcast about spirituality, which is not a problem for me at all. It started out with fifth generation warfare. Like
Even that, no, don't even put a
talk
title
about a
on that.
whiplash.
No, don't even because it might end with puppies.
Yeah.
As somebody that's
Or aliens. But
don't put a title or a prediction or an expectation on any of it. Just keep going. You and your wife are
so
talking about something.
Yeah, so the interesting thing about the spiritual warfare aspect, and you brought up the cosmos with how planets are formed, dark matter and dark energy and matter itself. So it gets there's some interesting esoteric kind of thought experiments or conversations to have around forces that we don't know are pulling on us, right? Like I I think with your I stopped short of I stopped well short of like doctoral information. I went to college for exercise science, so I know a little bit about the body, but I know enough to know that we don't know shit, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like we have some understandings of like mechanisms and relationships between cells and organs and everything else, but we don't know quite as much as the average individual is led to believe, right? And you take that out to something like physics and how we relate with reality. And then you take in the reality that like what we see is not everything because our eyes can only pick up so much. Same with our ears, same with our skin. We can only pick up so much information that we're designed to pick up. So that leads to the point of like you look at the visual light spectrum or the light spectrum in general. What is visible is very, very little. So when you understand that there are forces out there that we can't perceive, just because we can't perceive them doesn't mean that they aren't acting upon us, right? Like that would be a ridiculous conclusion to come to. So on the spiritual aspect, I've gotten really curious about like the nature of reality and the ether, which is something that Nikola Tesla has talked about and multiple others have talked about quite often. And we can take this conversation into 0 point energy. Like you talked with Ashton Forbes before. I've talked with him. We can talk about all the very interesting patents that are wrapped up under the U.S. Navy and Department of Energy as far as 0 point energy generation and all that, and whether it's real or not. And Hal Puthoff and Colonel, can't remember the colonel's name, but the point is that I think that there's a very serious aspect of energy that we don't know how to tap into or measure. I think that that's gonna a large part of that is gonna feed into the spiritual component. Um, and so Mel and I kind of like through our discussion, we came to this conclusion that churches back in the day weren't just houses of worship. Like they were probably sites to accumulate and distribute spiritual and ether-esque energy. Because if you consider how being touched by God, like you were talking about earlier, how much it recharges you,
Mhm.
and you think about how much emotions are contagious. Like I was talking, my organization, we do a spaces every morning on Twitter, and we were talking about resilience, and the topic of fear and how much that spreads came up, and emotions, all of that. It can travel like a virus. I think faith is no different. But when you take in these aspects, and then you also take in like cymatics, like how it is
Yeah. Yeah.
literal,
Yeah. It's
it is literal. Like music is geometry just in sound,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's not really anything. It's not. I mean, it's cool and it's special, but it's also not at the same time. It's very simple and elegant, and how there's healing sounds, and then there are sounds that distort, disrupt, that are patently opposite to healing. And then you look at how the old churches were built and how I think that they were intelligently designed to hone sound. They act like tuning forks with all that stone, and then you put an organ inside of it, and then it like the beautiful architecture isn't just beautiful.
Mhm.
It has this auditory aspect that it doesn't echo, but it magnifies,
Yeah.
right? And then you look at the churches on the outside. They are topped with gold steeples, right? Gold is one of the best conductors we know of, if not the best. Besides the fact it looks pretty, it provides a very interesting, I think, potential function all the way up on high, not just for attracting, it could
I'm sure it can attract lightning in the middle of a storm. But that kind of conductivity, you have to think about the polarity down on like the atomic level, right? Like
Mhm.
pulling in energy and then wrap it all up together. House of worship designed to be in the center of town so that the town, like God is at the center of everything. So the town develops around it. Everything feeds into it, but then look at it as like a double-sided kind of vortex, right? So like the vortex of energy for the town is everybody's directing their efforts towards God, but then you look at the church and when you're in practice and you have a number of faithful servants in there, they're all getting closer to God at the same time together. They're all singing together. The healing sound is emanating in the church, and then it'll emanate out a little bit from the windows and the open doors and whatnot. And then you look at the structure of the steeples and being able to attract that polarity in. And I can't help but picture it as this giant kind of like vortex of multiple different levels of energy and power that are getting drawn down into the church. And while the town is directing its energy inwards to the church and up towards God, God in reality is directing energy inwards and down, and then it's like a conductor pushing it out throughout the town around it. I once we had that conversation, it was like a mind blowing situation. I was just like, oh, okay, there's a high likelihood that there's far more to this than just faith. Because like, I mean, you look at World War II when we started ripping down the bells out of those steeples, you know, for whatever reason, whether it was actually to melt them down or it was a dynamic of this spiritual warfare to tear down the monuments of Christianity and destroy the faith base and destroy that healing mechanic so that the whole kind of like continent of Europe would start to it would be target softening, right? If you were looking at it from like the
Mhm.
forces of evil against the forces of God, it's like, all right, well, let's start with weakening the churches. Like the sound and that power vortex is an important component. Why not essentially starve these populations of their spiritual and emotional battery, and then we can start slowly chipping away at everything else and develop into 100 years where we're flooding the area with culturally unaligned individuals by the millions so we can foment chaos, and then out of that chaos and fifth generation warfare we can take advantage of the situation and gain more power, gain more access to children in these war torn areas, be able to traffic them, create more evil. Because, like you've kind of, I think you've touched on with talking with Dave Collum in particular about that topic. One of the worst parts about, excuse me, pedophilia and child trafficking is you expose them to that at that age, they spread like a virus. Like you created, statistically, you're very likely to have created another pedophile,
Mhm.
which will at the very least go out and create another one, if not dozens more. And I like one, and that's another aspect of where once I gained insight from that angle, I was like, like it's 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 almost kind of disturbing how much you see all this evil and then you see like all that stuff, and then like once you understand the big picture and the way things are flowing, you almost kind of feel bad for getting calm, right? Like I ended up relaxing in the sense of now I'm not necessarily freaking out because I understand the battle space. I can, because I don't know about you, but I don't like the chaos of not understanding what's going on. Like I like to know what is happening and why, because once I understand what is happening and the why for it, then I can figure out how to position myself to either turn things back the other way or buffer myself for when a particular outcome is coming out, and then I can move forward towards success from there. So I don't know. I wanted to get that out there, but I particularly wanted to get your thoughts on all of that because as I gain a lot of solace from thinking about things in those terms.
Um, One, excuse me, don't feel bad for being calm. I get that. I get that a ton. And no, that's if you're calm because you're going, I'm not gonna read about any of that pedophilia, I don't want any of that, but that's bad. That's ignorance. If you can find calm despite knowing this, that's God going, hey, you get this is a marathon. You can't be
Yeah.
freaking out every moment of every day.
Yeah.
Um, no, I've heard of ideals in like no, and I love cymatics and that Nigel John Stanford that YouTube video where he's putting the sand on the speakers and shit. Um, no,
Robert Greene talks about a lot of good stuff too.
I think that's 1,000% true, and whether or not they knew that they were doing that or whether it just felt right, it's the same thing. It's like 1,000 years ago, and people would eat the leaves of the ginkgo biloba tree because the elder said it helped with memory. They didn't lose it later on. Like, they didn't fucking know about neurotransmitters and cells and phospholipid bilayers, but they knew it worked.
Yeah.
The first person to consume caffeine didn't know about adenosine receptors. They probably didn't even know. Probably never heard the word receptor. I don't.
Yeah.
There's the fucking. They thought their bodies were like. They didn't even know they had organs. Still woke them up. So whether or not you know it or not, if the effect is the effect, then it's just more of like we're fleshing out a known we're fleshing out a feeling we subjectively know to be true and learning out how and why. um I think that's 1,000% true. Yeah, I think there's a lot to the idea of the church captures the mind. When these cathedrals were made 500 years ago and you're just some dumb fuck peasant who's never even like brushed his teeth, and like you see a thing of beautiful symmetry reaching up to this, which by the way at the time was 5 times taller than any other building.
Yeah.
That'd be like if there was a 2 mile high sky church in Manhattan, right? Like 5 times taller than the
Be
Empire State.
awe-inspiring.
Yeah, so I think there's a lot to that, and I do believe that there's a lot to the if you were to view it through some electromagnetic spectrum, you would see like the divinity coming through that, and um one thing I saw a while ago, I don't remember where it was from or what it was from. I remember having the thought like when I was like, meditating one day in college, probably back in like 2011, and it dawned on me that if you could change the time scale on which you were seeing the world, even the mountains would be flowing like waves,
Yep.
right? And it's you'd be going like holy shit, and I saw like some, I don't know, time lapse or something of rivers and like, beavers making dams and stuff, and if you look at the river and they dam it, and how the river starts to, over hundreds of years it starts to curve and it creates these weird pinches, and then the pinches will interact, then it will completely change again. But it takes place over like tens of thousands of years. What we just see is a river. Um, but if you were to like zoom out onto, a godly timeline where you could look at things from any moment if you wanted, and you would see things like that, you might not, if the goal was that you wanted, whatever, the river to reach somewhere else, you might not look at something as like a dam or it turning into like a weird squiggly worm as a bad thing. You might view it as simply and quickly as like filling a cup of water. You're like, yeah, no, I'm not
Yeah.
losing. I tend to think that like what we're seeing for us, it feels like, it's forever. I mean, everybody's pretty hip to the idea now that like whatever evil is going on right now, particularly it seems to be like 100 or 150-year plan that's coming into motion. God might see that no different than just like wave slapping and then withdrawing and
It's
wave.
a pendulum.
Yeah, and it's in the eyes of infinity. You'd be like, the water rises and destroys the sandcastle, and the kid cries. You're like, dude, we can come back tomorrow. Like it's gonna go back out. But
Yeah.
yeah, I tend to think it's probably like that. And what we are is just, it can never be stopped. It will keep going forever. God doesn't want it to stop because that's how you find true good, is the free will to choose. Everything we're seeing right now, it's new and unique. It's cell phones and Uber Eats and everything, but at the same time, it's not at all. It's no different than child sacrifice, 5,000 years ago in South America. It's all the same thing, and you're here in this iteration to fight it here and to become aware of it here, and it's an infinite game, and that you might look at that and go, that's sort of like a resignation to fatalism, and I don't think it is at all. I think it's just it's not freaking out and going, but if they're going to get AI and then they get orbital weapons, and then how could you ever it's like, no, like, don't lose your head, like, stay in the fight. And then another really important thing is to remember, like, God's perfect plan where it all works out perfectly might be that, like, you die today. Like, you might die an hour after this podcast. And
Yeah,
you're like, wait. I did everything right. I blah, blah, blah. But I died. Well, on God's timeline, he might be like, do you think do you look at like a compost pile of old fruit dying and turning into soil so you can plant it and grow a tree that your great grandkids are going to enjoy? Do you look at that as bad? You go, no. It's a whole bigger scale.
exactly.
And so if you get rooted in that, it doesn't mean that it's not still scary. That's real. But if you're rooted in that, you go, oh, God's perfect plan might be that I drop dead after the show. It might be that I live for another 50 years when the show grows beyond my wildest dreams. I have my, I'm like, I hope I hope it grows. Like, but you also, if you root yourself in that, there is an eternality to it, and truly
You have a role to
eternal,
play. Yeah.
then you freak out a little less. And I say that as like a chronically anxious person, you freak out a little less. And I do think that it's just an infinite pattern unfolding, and we'll never figure it all out. If we find out dark energy, then under that, you're gonna find something else, and it's gonna go on. Once we get to the atom, that will be the bottom. No, and then you find the neutrons and the protons, and then the electrons, and then you're like, well, that was it. And then it's like, no, it's like quarks and gluons and leptons, and it's under that. It's like Planck space and static, and then you're like, no, it goes in outside of the universe. They find another galaxy, and then another, and then a million, and then a trillion, and then a zillion, and then, well, there might be a multiverse, and well, what's outside the multiverse? Like, you're not gonna find the out. It's gonna go forever. You're never.
Wait until they go far enough in one direction that it just loops back around to
Well,
the other.
eventually, you got to imagine God looks at us as like, okay, once we finally vote this in, and then we get control of this, then it's all good. God looks at that with the same fatigue that you and I look at those Rumble headlines of like, hey, OC is a real dummy. God's like, hey, retards, it doesn't end. It's not supposed to end. Do your work now. Be
Yeah.
be courageous and Christ-like now. It's the final. I mean, this is the most important election ever. Will you shut the fuck up? Will you shut the fuck up? No, it's not. And if it is, it is. All right.
I
Well,
mean, if you want to go through life with that mindset of just like, I mean, you can.
and I
Every
think
day
the
is
thing
the
is
most
like,
important day of your life. Like,
I
it's
do think you
exhausting.
actually do need that mindset for a long time, because the only way I got to this point was going through that infinite wave crashing, that after the trillionth wave, you go, hold on, I think it's going to recede. And wait,
Yeah.
wait. And then another one's coming.
Oh, yeah.
How many winters do you have to witness before you go, yeah, no, the world's not dying. It's just getting a little cold. And in the spring, the new thing's gonna, when the sun goes down, you go, fuck, there goes the sun.
Yep.
Guy,
You just prepare for
hello,
the
guys,
winter.
we just lost the sun. It's like, so you're
It's
like,
never coming back.
did you leave? And your dog freaks out. You're like, dude, I'll be back. Like, I saw even that is not bad. I think it brings you to this point. And then if this growth continues that we're talking about in 20 years, we'll look back at this conversation right now with the same eye rolling fatigue of somebody that's like, this is the most important election. Like, because it just goes forever. And so yes, it's scary, and true evil exists, but it's also like, you're here to fight. You're here to fight in the same way a video game get intense, and then you die and the screen goes black and goes back to the main menu. You go, oh, I'm just sitting on a couch with an Xbox controller.
Yeah.
That
I didn't
happens.
actually
That
die.
happens outside of this. You go, oh my, and then the whole thing, and then the Tommy Carrigan living on Earth, and you wake up and you're in some other realm with God and the angels, and then that might go for a trillion years, and then that ends. You go, oh, whoa, the heaven ended, and then you wake up, you go, no, that was little heaven. This is bigger heaven. You're like, what? And you
So
start going, hold on. it goes forever. And if it goes forever, then it doesn't go at all. There's just right now. If you can zoom out forever, if inside the tiniest Planck space you find a universe, then all that really means is, and inside that is this, and you can go up and down and it goes forever. And if it can go forever in every direction, if you can go forever, where's the center of the surface of a sphere? It, what?
Yeah.
And that means that there's essentially no space. And if there is no time, if it goes forever, then there's only now. And yeah, and it
And
gets you.
establishing future and past is our attempt to wrangle control of our reality.
And it's just and the it really comes down to just like so how do you even go you can't model all of it. All you can do.
No.
People are like, well, this is your opinion. No, fuck off. All you can do is get closer to God. Is get closer to let go to with burning focus on the good, focus on making the good better, understanding that the bad right now is going to make you better.
Yeah.
Just
That's
go.
probably the biggest one, in my opinion.
Is just go. And if one day it doesn't go anymore and you're done, God's calling you back to your next mission. You and I have probably walked this earth 1,000 times. I've probably been my grandpa's grandpa. I've probably been my own
You're
dad.
getting into some Futurama stuff right there.
No, but what I mean is like it goes forever, and just get closer to that still and be still and know that I am God. I am that I am. It is just that's what it is. And it's
So you-
terrifying. It's terrifying. You go, well, and here's me. I always go, but then at a certain point though, you're supposed to reach that like enlightenment though, where it all the pain stuff. And no, even that's not it either. That's I think it's supposed to be kind of scary. And I hate that. I'm a total pussy. Every day I'm like, I wish I could just drink alcohol and take Xanax and not feel anything. But that's not existence.
But that's kind of there was something I was going to bring up earlier when we were talking the nature of choice. Like it doesn't mean anything if you don't choose, right?
You ever played Grand Theft Auto with invincibility on?
Oh, dude, I've played way too many games in my life. Yeah.
You ever played it with it's God mode and you put in it's
It's
fun.
boring.
If you it's fun if you've gone through the game, Ace Combat, and then you replay it and you have all the weapons and infinite missiles. It's fun, but the real grind is
It's the
when you're like,
challenge.
fuck, I got it. Fuck, all right, no, we just did it on silver. I want to get gold because if we do it on gold, then we get the better missile, and it's like, that's it. Invincibility is fun. Invincibility is fun at the end of a long night. You go, okay, turn on infinite ammo, super jump, flaming bullets, whatever. And you're playing GTA and you're just shooting RPGs at tanks and shit, and like it's fun. But man, the real fun is you're terrified of like, fuck, how much ammo do I have? Fuck,
Yeah.
don't peek. All right, all right, get him, go, move. Right, and like that's the most fun, man. Like, sorry, I interrupted you, but yeah.
No.
If there's no choice, it's meaningless.
Yeah, if there's no choice, it's meaningless, but it's also I wanted to ask you, maybe we can close with this and end it on a pretty good note, but do you think that there's a point to all of it? Or maybe not all of it. That's too big. But like from where we are now to the next thing, once we cross over the threshold and get beyond the veil, do you think that there's a point?
What do you mean? Like a point we're reaching, or there is a point to it, or what?
So yeah, so I'll give you like some of my thoughts on it. I think that with like the spiritual warfare that's going on right now that we're experiencing, and the nature of choice being a requirement to, I think it feels like an ascension protocol. It feels like an initiation, given the opportunity. It is an initiation in a number of different directions, but how you choose to live and act determines what happens in the next life.
Yes, and my point, I legitimately think that it's probably something similar to like you graduate to become like an angel or a guardian angel or a saint or something. But I think even that goes on. There's something above that.
Yeah.
And there's something above. So there is a point. You're going through this bottleneck, this selection
We're
event,
being developed. Yeah.
this Darwinian thing. But then even that, there's something above that. The game doesn't end. And then here's the other thing is like, or the game might end. You might hit a point where you're just in perfect union with God, and you know there is no longer like it might also be that the fact that you and I are, or at least I've been openly concluding it doesn't end. What are the chances that I'm actually right? Or do you think God goes, what do you mean there's no end? Of course there's no fucking end. God might go, yeah, what? No, you bait it. You can literally just sit in ecstatic bliss for eternity. You go, oh,
But your belief that it doesn't end could serve a purpose to the point of getting to that end point.
it's the same reason why you know, it's if you tell yourself there's an end point, I think you're fucked. Like if I tell myself the podcast is going to succeed by episode 1000,
Yeah, you get
well,
complacent.
then you're gonna end up breaking yourself because around 1000 you gotta let go. Versus if I go, yeah, it's probably gonna take forever, and I just wake up and keep going every day. Well, then it's gonna happen on the day I don't expect it. So even that is just that's why it's like Dale. I've had on Dale before, and he's like the selection for Delta Force is the most insane thing because they give you like a just like a, you know a point that you have to like walk to, and they don't tell you how much time you have. And he goes, so you have to go, should I be running faster? Or,
Consistency is the key.
well, and it might be like, well, am I supposed to be doing this over 7 days or am I going to be out in the field for 30 days? So you reach this point where you go, I have to go as fast as I can sustainably go.
Hmm.
And he goes, and it's because he goes, it's the biggest head fuck because you don't know if you're supposed to be out there for 3 hours or like 6 weeks. And it's just how far can you go? And eventually what you boil down to is, am I going as far as I can go every day? But also not breaking myself so that I can reach this point of eternally going. And he's like, and once you find under that, then it then it's over. Once
Well,
you've accepted,
especially
yeah,
especially for like Delta Force, like you have to be an individual where you know what limits you can push while still being capable of operating, right?
correct,
Like
correct. And
like
that's
they're
why
like
that's why he
Delta
says
Force
there's
doesn't want somebody who can walk 30 miles in 2 days, but then you're so completely destroyed that you can't defend yourself or fight off an opposing force, and you can't put up your own like campsite to be able to batten down for weather or whatever. Like
correct.
no, nobody wants that. You're a liability at that point.
Well, and that's the whole like, you know, is it breaking Sean Ryan? Like even with myself, I have to find like not every episode can be like right now we're having like a heavy episode. Not every episode can be this.
Yeah, but it's
I
also
gotta,
heavy in the opposite direction too.
yeah. But that I mean, it's like, and that's why I also gotta go. You gotta do light ones. I gotta have friends on where we just shoot the fucking shit, and it's like that's sustainability. And if I do that, I can go. I can go for it. I can reliably do like 250 to 300 episodes a year, and I've been doing it for 6 years.
That's insane.
I'm like, I I can do that. And I now know that. It's not 1 year where after I break down, I go, no, 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 you can. And I know I have like surge capacities. I know I have capacities where I can do 10 shows a week. I can even do 10 shows a week for a couple weeks in a row. Let's just say, whatever, the views are coming in, the guests are coming. I can do that. But then I know there's going to be a month where I'm doing 2 shows a week. And then you zoom out even more and you go, okay, well then in how many chunks can you do that 2 month thing? Okay, then that whole thing exists within this year paradigm. Well, how many years can you do? And it comes down to sustainably pushing yourself. And I think that's probably what it is I think that's probably what it, I think if, an archangel, the Saint Michael, the whole, I think like at the end of Baz's presentation for the Association with the Recovery of Children, it was Saint Michael, like, with a fucking spear and his wings are like wrapped around this like cradle and there's like a kid sleeping and like the power of like the angel is like keeping the demons at bay. And it's like, you just look at it, it's just like an unimaginable, like strong and patriarchal figure. And it's like, well, how did that angel come to be? They probably lived like a Baz type lifestyle probably 100 times, and then they went on to become that thing. And
Yeah.
then and Saint Michael might go like, yeah, we like I have a guardian angel. You're like, I thought you were the. He's like, no, there's like super angels, and it just goes forever. And
Yep.
it's
They're all
that's
looking
what
out for each other.
it goes forever. And I look at that and I get excited at that. I'm like, oh, that would be cool. That would be fucking cool to be like a guardian angel and like just
Oh yeah.
fuck up demons, you know?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, fuck those things. And
Like
like,
Constantine, like the movie Constantine.
yeah, just fucking like, and that might be like the next level. And it's like, you can become a billionaire and leave a legacy and whatever. It's like, or you can fucking ascend and like, fuck these demons, dude. Fuck these people, right? And it's like, you
That's the
know?
kind of energy I like to
Yeah,
have.
and then like, and then those angels might like look at you and I, and you know, we're like, yeah, like it just kind of the pain goes forever, and they may be like, that's keep going,
That's the point.
keep going. It does suck.
Yeah.
Keep going. You go, okay, like
Yeah. Sharpen that knife.
yeah, and then people are like, well, what if there is no God, or if there is no angels? Oh no, then we're steeling ourselves against evil and growing the power of endurance for no reason.
Yeah. Like it doesn't affect me. Like,
Oh, what? Hey, dude, you became a strong person with a strong foundation of courage and morals for no reason. Don't you feel stupid?
no, actually, I feel
Actually, no,
smarter.
no, I don't. I exercise every day. I haven't played a sport since middle school basketball. Tommy, don't you feel stupid? No, I sleep really well.
I look good,
I like how
providing.
I like how I look. I'm not in pain. I'm 35 and I know I have friends who are my age who are like walking around like old men. I'm like, no,
Yep.
I feel great. I like that I can go do pull-ups and push-ups and I like the mental hardening of it. And no,
You have an
don't
energy or an aura where you walk into a room and people notice. It's like, yeah,
don't you feel stupid that you lifted weights for 25 years, built bicep? Don't you feel stupid that you never played any? No, I kind of like how it makes dating easier. Fuck
yeah,
off. You
yep.
fucking eat a dick, you know? It's yeah, man. So it's TLDR. I don't think it ever ends, and I don't think that's the point. And there
No,
might even be.
the fight's the point.
And here's the other thing is like, and there might be rest periods. You might be able to go like relax for 10,000 years after this. The same way I take weekends every week. There might be like a weekend where it's like you get to go you get to go sit in a locker room
It's like a sabbatical.
for like 5,000 years and just like relax. And then you like finally after 5,000 you're like fuck this shit, dude. Let's go back in there. Put me in. Put me in. Put me in 1990. I'm gonna go fuck up shit during COVID. Like, let's rock. Like, and then you have buddies that are coming out and they're taking off all their gear. They're like, dude, I gotta fucking relax. And you're like, got you, bro. Like, tag me in. Like, ding, ding, ding. Like, reinforcements are
Give me the
coming.
vest. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Give me the let's go. Fucking, fist bump and like, and it just goes forever. And
Yep.
yeah, so I
That's the
don't.
kind of existence I'm okay with. I'm
Yeah,
very okay with that.
yeah. That's how it
By
should.
the way, I don't know if you believe in synchronicities or anything, but I'm wearing a shirt that has Archangel Michael
There you go. No, I did.
Satan in the throat.
Yeah, exactly. That is what a coincidence. No, 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 no. There it is.
Yeah,
There it
that's
is.
showing you that you're on the path. That's confirmation that
Yes,
you're doing what
that's
you need to.
that's just a coincidence, man. If you can't even take like the beautiful little hints of God's divine synchronicities around you, and instead you have to say it's a coincidence, you want to be miserable. Like
Yeah, I mean, I used to be like in that
me
mindset.
too. Oh,
I
I was that Reddit atheist for there's no such thing as a man in the sky. It's and yeah, and you're miserable. You're fucking miserable. It's fuck those people, dude.
well, like you. I mean, once you kind of just like breaking the surface tension of like that thought process between like, oh, it's just coincidence, and then it's like, well, like, what if? And then you start like paying attention to you make better decisions, you move a little bit slowlier, like you move with wisdom, you like building your life up how you want it to be, and then you start paying attention. It's like, oh, like this, there's a lot of like I keep coming across the same stuff over and over. And it's like aligning with decisions I'm making and what I'm interested in. And it's like, yeah, dude, that's the vacuum of like your reality. It's like the gravity drives that Ashton Forbes talks about, where the gravity is projecting forward and you're
And
falling
pulling you
into it.
with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
it's exactly like that.
that's exactly what it is it's pushing you in that way. And it's like, keep
Yep.
going. And it's,
Don't deviate. You deviate, you're gonna get outside of that vacuum like tunnel or chamber,
yeah,
and then shit's gonna get chaotic, and you're gonna get thrown off for a
it
while, and
gets
you're gonna have to.
chaotic. And, but here's the thing though, and that's okay. You go back to it. You might even learn.
Yeah.
It might even be good to fuck up in life and deviate a couple times and go, because now when you deviate, you don't freak out. You go, I've been here before.
Oh, I need to rebuild
I'm
that
gonna
momentum.
I know I'm gonna have to kind of pay for this a little bit, but you can get back. You can get back. You can get back into it. You can keep going,
Yep.
keep going. You can get back into it. You can lose weight again. It's all right. You can do it. Yeah, man. It's hope and optimism and looking forward with joy and excitement and not dwelling in hatred, man. It really is that.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, let's wrap this shit up. I'll put your Twitter in the description and any other links you want me to put in there, text them to me. Don't tell them to me right now because I will not remember. You can plug it for the people
Okay.
that are going to listen if you want. But text them to me and I'll put them in the description. Or
Uh, the only one would be my Substack. It's just hearmeout.substack.com. I talk about a lot, like some of what we talked about here, but I talk about some more risque stuff too. So
you just go to
that'd
your
be it.
Substack. It's just all furry porn. And I'm like, what the
Oh, well,
fuck?
not quite that
It's
part.
just, Tommy, they're like, yeah, Tommy, you got bamboozled. That would be hilarious if you like I'd be like, wow, that's another lesson from God. I'd be like, all right, don't fucking
Don't
trust that somebody's just
don't
vibing with you. They might be a
yeah, don't
furry.
don't take just random DMs off of
Yeah, all
Twitter
right.
and just throw them
Noted.
on your
Noted. Like, but even
podcast.
that, I would go, noted. Okay.
Yep.
Move forward, you know?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Data point learned. Got it.
exactly. And it goes forever. So text me that Substack.
Okay.
And yeah, I'll upload this and yeah, we'll do it again sometime, man.
Hell yeah, dude. All right,
Okay.
man. I'll let you
Hey.
go so you can
Yeah.
get some rest after all the travel.
Fuck yes. Yeah, and yeah, I appreciate it. I'll text it to you when it's up. I'll upload it to YouTube in a little bit and blah 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 blah. Guys, thank you for watching. All right, nice to meet you, man. And we'll do it again sometime.
Yeah, pleasure.
All right, brother. Guys, thank you. Hey guys, real quick, you guys know Basil Baz, ARC, the Association for the Recovery of Children. I just did a fundraiser with them the other day, and I'm going to put this on to every episode I do. They are special forces veterans who physically rescue trafficked children. They have since 1993. They have a 100% success rate. They do not take salaries. They all have day jobs, and they literally rescue sex trafficked children. Donations to them are a tax write-off. I get nothing from them, and they have not asked me to put this on. I've included this little clip on episodes for the last year or so, and I'm just re-recording it because I just got to meet him just 2 days ago for future. It's November 25th, 2025, but this will be on every episode now for the next year. And there is nothing better you can do with your money. If you can support them for even $5, please do that. It is, they truly are doing the Lord's work, and I think we all have an obligation to do that. Thank you so much.
Higher ultraviolet exposure is associated with lower mortality. The United Kingdom is a high latitude and low sunlight country. Researchers there collected data on over 360,000 participants in a study of UV exposure via solarium use. When compared with non-users, solarium users had 15% risk lowered of all-cause mortality, 23% lower risk of cardiovascular mortality, 14% lower risk of cancer mortality, and a 12% lower risk of non-cardiovascular, non-cancer mortality. In other words, all other causes. Quoting the researchers, our study adds to the growing evidence that the benefits of UV exposure outweigh the risks in low sunlight environments. A link to the original publication is available in the box below the video. Get some UV light this winter. Immerse yourself in the tranquility of the blue. Visit a Blue Room soon. www.blueroom.com.
Hey guys, a huge sponsor of the show is Heaven's Harvest Prepper Food. Clayton lives down in Georgia. He's been on the show before. It's actually nearby where I went to college. They are a huge sponsor of the show. They give me some money every month, even when I don't sell enough to warrant that paycheck. meaning that the show is not free. It's just that it's free for you. If you guys need prepper food or if you're just interested in supporting the show, I'd please ask you to go to the link in the description. Go to Heaven's Harvest Prepper Food, promo code TPC for 10% off. 72 servings per pail, 25-year shelf life. These things are, they double as dumbbells. Pasta Primavera, cheesy potato soup, mac and cheese, loaded baked potato casserole, chili mac, cheddar broccoli soup, cheesy lasagna, teriyaki rice. You can get banana chips. There's also raspberries, strawberries, and apples. There's a bunch of freeze-dried fruit, or you can even get seeds to plant your own garden. It's not a bad thing to have. It's like gold or ammunition. It's a good thing to have. It's a bad thing if you have to use it, but it's good. It's good to have it, not need it, than need it, not have it. So that's what I'd say. And if you just want to support the show, please go to the link in the description. Please go support them because they support me. Thank you so much, guys.